your latest news update from Western Mass News.
Good Tuesday afternoon, everyone. I'm Chris Pisano with a look at your headlines. Governor Maura Healey declaring a state of emergency today in an attempt to get federal help to house migrants in the Bay State. Healey says nearly 5,600 families are now housed in the state's emergency shelter system. That's 80% more than just a year ago. The state of emergency is an attempt to bring federal funding to shelter families, hire contractors to build housing, and allow activation of the National Guard to assist. Today, the Latino Cultural Center opened the doors of its new project, the Latino Counseling Center in Springfield. The new space on State Street will provide mental health to anyone who's battling with addiction or any other issue that could put their mental health at risk. Psychologists, psychiatrists, and family counselors will all be on site and speak English and Spanish. The Supreme Court freezing a lower court ruling today barring the government regulation of ghost guns as firearms under federal law. Ghost guns are untraceable, homemade firearms that can be built with kits available online. Last year, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives updated its regulations, defining the kits as firearms so they could be better tracked.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Don Maher. As we make our way through the afternoon, early evening, still a chance that we could deal with a couple of showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, but for the most part, I think they're going to be rather isolated in nature, and those will dissipate after sunset as we lose the heating of the day. Winds are going to turn to the northwest behind a cold front, and that's going to usher in drier air for your Wednesday. Temperatures tonight, upper 50s, lower 60s. May still feel a bit on the muggy side overnight tonight and as we get going tomorrow morning, but dew points will be falling throughout the day on a rather gusty northwesterly wind. Could see winds gusting up near 25 miles per hour at times tomorrow afternoon, but a lot of sunshine coming our way, especially during the second half of the day. Temperatures getting into the upper 70s and lower 80s, right around where we should be for this time of year. So a dry day Wednesday, but then the shower and thunderstorm threat back on Thursday. Also could deal with the shower and thunderstorm threat as we head towards the end of the week. Also looking a bit unsettled around here for both Saturday and Sunday with the chance for a shower or storm each day. Temperatures in the lower 80s.
Stay with Western Mass News on air, online, and on our app throughout the day for breaking news, weather, and exclusive content.